In Sunday's finale in Houston, Basallo joined the team and has made an immediate impact so far through his first two major league games, which include Sunday's finale in Houston and Monday's series opener at Fenway Park. Basallo is 3 for 9 with the Orioles and became the first player in franchise history to have back-to-back multi-RBI games to begin his career. And we have talked about these players at length, not just this season, but in years past. Basallo has been our number one prospect for a while. In our most recent top 50 update, Beavers was right behind him at number 2. And that comes with a trend of more national love, as Beavers has been added to several top 100 prospect lists at the national level recently. So, Bob, I will start with you here. It feels like these two players may be coming up to a team that has struggled for the course of this year, but at good times for them, because there's going to be plenty of opportunities. And we've seen in the limited sample they've been here that they are capable of making a difference.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time. We needed this. I'm just going to say we needed this year for sure. I know, Nick, you said this was going to be the first full Orioles game you watched this weekend in a long time. I totally get it.
I've watched 3 straight full Orioles games for the first time since April.
Gotta love it. See, we needed this. And yeah, and look, already it seems like these are not going to be guys that get off to these really big slumps the way Colton Cowser, Kobe Mayo, Jackson Holiday did. I mean, they're going to have slumps, period. It might even be sooner rather than later, but they at least came up, had some immediate success. Dylan Beavers' first 3 games had a double, a single, 2 hits and 2 walks last night. I don't know what he's done tonight, but Basallo, just everything is advertised. Maybe this is what happens when you overcook them a little bit in AAA more than, I'm not going to say rush them to get up here, but maybe they could have been up sooner, but maybe this little arbitrary deadline thing got them a little more fully baked in the oven before they came up. But Basallo was ready. He was robbed of a home run. Would have been a cheapie, but him and Gunnar both got robbed by Jesus Sanchez in Houston. You hit the double off the wall. His bat speed's up to 85.5 miles per hour, and he's just turned 21 like a week ago. So he looks fantastic. I even thought he looked pretty good behind the plate in his first game. Trevor Rogers had a lot of good to say with him, but yeah, this is great for 2026. I think team's playing well overall. This is what you want. You want to go into the offseason with some momentum and with some of these younger guys playing a part so that you can feel good about going in, grabbing a few big pitchers maybe, and seeing what you can do next year.
Yeah, I just go back to Basallo, and like you said, these guys are going to have their struggles probably soon. They could hit a wall by the end of the year as well, because remember, they've had a very long AAA season up to this point as well. So now even though this team isn't in a playoff chase, the intensity is still ratcheted up 10 times. So we'll see what the rest of the year brings, but we've talked about this a lot already with Basallo, especially over the last 2 years, and more so over the last year, really, as he's continued to develop and look better and better. Because many years ago, when he first signed, we did not think he would become this type of player, and look who he is now. Both of these guys, is a great part of this story, is that Dylan Beavers was also not a can't-miss prospect. He was a prospect many people did not enjoy coming out of the draft. But with Basallo specifically, I hope more and more people understand that Samuel Basallo coming up and performing well has the potential to be franchise altering. Like, I just don't want to throw that out there and use that descriptor lightly. And I don't want him to feel that pressure, even though we know he does. We already know he feels enough pressure, and no one is ever going to be harder on him than how hard he is on himself. But Basallo being the first homegrown international prospect to hopefully rise to stardom at the major league level. And I know it's only been a couple of games, and I don't want to throw all of this on him, but like, we've talked about this being peak Samuel Basallo and what he can become. It's going to just open so many doors. Again, like we've talked about, the kids back in the DR are going to look up to him, and they're going to want to be the next Samuel Basallo, and they're going to want to play for the Orioles like their hero. And I just think this entire operation, led by Kobe Perez, has done an incredible job in building up the international pipeline from a literal joke. Literally, the international program with the Orioles was a joke to the rest of the league, and now it's a threat. And Basallo could become the shining star of this, hopefully. yeah, like you mentioned, even getting the day behind the plate with Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers have a real shaky outing, giving up 1 run, but gave a shout out to Basallo and his work behind the plate that day, doing it on the road in Boston. Shout out to him. Yeah, Jesus Sanchez decided to become relevant for the first time in his career. Picked a great day to do that. But still, like you saw the flash, that double off the wall, off the green monster, like he had a lot of really, really exciting at bats there in those first couple of days. I hate that he was off tonight as we're recording this. I do have to say that Beavers is playing every day, but yeah, I believe it was uh, Ryan. Used to be O's fans probs on Twitter, I think, but I think Ryan. I can't pull it up here live on there, but he had a really good tweet about Tony Mansolino saying, "Oh, hey, like we don't want to just like throw them to the wolves right here from the start," and Ryan was like, Samuel Basallo is like a robbed home run away from these monster numbers opening weekend. Like Samuel Basallo is the wolf. And I read that, I was just like, ooh, I like that. It's just exciting. You don't want to get like super jazzed up here and be like, all right, they're in. They're not gonna slump. They're gonna take off like rocket ships right now. But after the season that we've had to sit through these last couple of days, like I hope this continues to roll on into the off season because the last few days and tonight including looks like there's winning right now. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and obviously I'd love to watch these guys in the lineup every day. And there's a reason they won't be, and the reason that they're at the bottom of the batting
Yeah.
order, because you got to massage those at bats, can't get more than 130. So Beavers walks more. He'll probably be in the lineup more often. I think Basallo is going to be aggressive up there. So yeah, unfortunately it's all part of the game they're playing. But I thought the most impressive at bat by Samuel Basallo this weekend was taking a Jordan Hicks 97-mile-per-hour fastball above the zone and just bam, slamming it into right center field. I mean, if you look at the plot, they were attacking him up. If you look at his weakness, so to speak, as he was coming up, it was he can't really handle velocity, especially up in the zone. Well, maybe that's because he really hadn't seen it. He saw it all game long, and then boom, no problem. I think the league is going to have a lot of trouble finding a way to attack him consistently with success. And yeah, the start of a special career right here. It's it's goosebump inducing.
Yeah, I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this could be franchise altering from Basallo's talent alone to what it will mean for the Orioles international program, which has essentially had been non-existent for decades. And we talk all the time about the benefits that Kobe Perez and his team have yielded in the minor leagues, but up to this point, we haven't really been able to see that carry over the majors, which is fair when you consider that most of these players signed at 16 and the program as it is now probably didn't really get underway until 2020, which was probably the first big class under Kobe Perez. But Basallo's arrival in the major leagues, I think, like Nick said, is really has the potential to spark a new era for this franchise. One where it's more relevant internationally, especially in the Dominican Republic. And let's face it, you've got a 21-year-old who's coming up here with a chance to make this team a lot better, not just this year, but next year, because you look up and down the Orioles lineup where they need help. Well, they could use a little bit more power. First base and DH have been kind of middling this year outside of Ryan O'Hearn. Adley Rutschman, I have hope that we're going to see the better version of Adley Rutschman come back at some point, but I think it's clear that after years of a really high workload, there's a cost to the number of at-bats that Rutschman has had over his career so far and the lack of true off days. And the reason that the Orioles did what they did with Rutschman over the first 2 years is because they had to do it. He was their best all-around hitter. They had to have him in the lineup. But now you add Basallo to the mix, and you've got Gunnar Henderson. You have these other players coming in. You can afford to let Adley rest a little bit more. And I think that even if the long-term plan is Adley Rutschman walks after 2027, that's still going to be really beneficial to the Orioles.
Yeah. I want to say that Sunday's lineup in Houston was by far my favorite lineup we had all season long. I think it was, Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westburg. Of course, he got hurt soon after. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Kobe Mayo, Dylan Beavers, Samuel Basallo, whom I'm missing one. Jeremiah Jackson was in there, and there was one more that I'm not thinking of right this second, but that's okay. Jeremiah Jackson, by the way, batting 341, continuing to do what he was doing in AAA on the way up. Can't forget about him. So it's just a fun time right now.
Yeah, and I think too, with talking about Adley, I think you're going to see Basallo, probably not this year because, like you mentioned, they got to game the system. But I do think next year you see Samuel Basallo catch a lot more than what I think people think he's going to. It's when you listen. I was listening to some fantasy stuff earlier today, and they're talking about the call up, of course. And when you listen to the national narrative about Basallo's defense and just him as a prospect, the national media doesn't understand yet. They truly don't. The bat they don't understand quite yet, but the defense, they're clueless. And I think you hear the other reports, like the internal reports about what these guys are, like objective internal reports. Just here's the data on the throws. Here's the data on the stuff. The defense, I think, is a lot better than what some people want to give him credit for. And he's going to continue to work on that. Again, he's only 21 years old. He just turned 21 years old. He's only caught one game at the major league level. It's why he's up now. You're going to see him catch more games this year to continue to work on some things. And I think next year you see him behind the plate a lot more than anybody is expecting. So,
yeah,
and
I actually thought JJ Cooper's piece was pretty good. It was pretty even-handed. It says he's below average right now, which you would expect considering the limited amount of time he's had and his age. But he said he sees no reason why he couldn't be at least average moving forward, which, yeah, I think that's with his bat at average defense. I think that's going to be plenty good. And yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find room for Ryan Mountcastle in the 2026. I was already trying to squeeze him off, but it's getting harder and harder between Kobe Mayo, Samuel Basallo. Like, these guys need to be playing every day next year. And I think with an off season of learning from this season, what the Bash brothers, they need to be in the lineup every other day. And Colton Cowser was the other name I forgot from Sunday's lineup.